Hi again. So this is Piano Method Level 1A, page 12 at the bottom. So this piece is also called A Little Night Song, just like the one on the top, but it's the second one. So I just call it A Little Night Song 2, right? D position study 2. So this one is still in D position. So just to remind you where that is, they show you this graphic at the top. Instead of having your right thumb on C, you have your right thumb on the D instead. So you just shifted one key to the right. Same with your left hand, not the C, but the D is your pinky, right? And you notice the notes are just a little different. There's no middle C's, but you do have A's, so the second space. Same with the left hand, there's a D, right? Good boys do, fine always, right? That's a do. And then it moves up from there. Your highest note is that A, so it sits on the around that top line. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. And this piece is all about intervals, right? We've been talking about reading intervals, seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths. They have all these brackets. You can ignore the brackets. What they're hoping you see is that each of these intervals is different. This is a second. This one's a third. That's a fourth. And as you're looking at these, every other note, the one you start with is a D, but every other note is still back to the D and the D and the D. It's just the other note keeps rising away from the D, right? So what happens in your hand, if you're in, here's that middle C, so you're in D position here. So you're playing D up a second, back to D, up a third, D up a fourth, D up a fifth, your pinky, right? So just that interval is expanding, but your thumb stays in the same place. All right, so as you, so that's what those brackets are. If you wanted to say right in second, third, fourth, you could do that, but you don't really need it now that you see that. They also give you finger numbers to help you if you need them. And again, they try not to write more of them in, like people are tempted to write like thumb for every thumb note. It gets redundant, and in the end, that crutch will make it harder for you to read notes later. So just kind of get used to what they look like first without writing more information. As we move on, there's a rest. This note is still the same as this one, so even if they didn't write that 5, you can just visually see what you just played is the same thing. 2 of those, and then they're just falling, so to the left, to the left, to the left, right? It's just notes that move that way on the piano. All right, into the last line. This is basically the same as you did up here, right? There's just fewer numbers, right? Most of them are missing. That's okay. You can see that's a second. Space to space is a third. You're skipping the line note, right? That's a fourth because you're skipping this whole line and that space, right? So really getting your eye to notice the distances here, the intervals. Same stuff here. You just played an A, your pinky, rest, same notes, rest, rest. And that is that D, which is now your thumb. So really getting used to what that looks like. So really focusing on these pieces, on the space note right under the staff lines, that's your thumb. Second space, right? Second of these staff line spaces is your pinky, your A, right? D's and A's. All right, so let's do right hand first, this part, starting with the thumb. So again, you're in D position over here, right? So not C. You're leaving that key alone over here. Okay. Right hand, 1, 2, ready, go. Up a fourth, up a fifth, rest, same note, and then down, down, 2, 3. Last line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, rest, rest, 2, 3, rest. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. We're going to add the left hand, and like a lot of pieces have been, both hands are doing the same thing at the same time, so not too scary, a little scary, but not too bad. So your right thumb starts, that means your left pinky starts off this one. They're doing the same thing together. Okay, let me stick this up here so you can see my hands. So again, not C position, but D position, sliding over just a little. Same with the left hand. Instead of here, you're moving to D. So you've got 2 keys here you're not playing at the moment. But you're starting with the D's in both hands. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. 1, 2, 3. Last line. Rest. 2, 3. Rest, rest. rest. Right, and then one other thing that you're probably starting to notice in this piece, it's a little night song. It's the second one. It also says spirited. So you know, your people's definitions of spirited can be different, but I would say maybe a little faster, right? A little happier than we just played it. So you could, as you're practicing, you can experiment with different speeds. So let's play this song a little faster, but this everything else is the same. It's the same place, D position. So 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. 1, 2, 3, last line. Rest, rest, rest. All right, hopefully that makes sense.